we will go through today's football results and have a bit of a look at what those results have meant for the tables as well. So, scores first, we'll do it as a classified. Canada Life Premier League, Colby 3, Braddon 1. Corinthians 9, Ramsey 0. Peel 11, Douglas Royal 0. St George's 4, Laxey 1. And St John's 1, Douglas Athletic 2. In JCK Division 2, Castletown 4, Marown 1. That sends Castletown to the top of the table. Michael 1, Douglas and District 3. And Oncombe 5, Gyms 0. The only result I've got from Canada Life Combination 1 was Douglas Athletic 6, St John's 5. And in Combination 2, we have Governors Athletic 2, Foxdale 3. Marown 5, Castletown 2, and Union Mills 3, United 0. So what this means, we'll go through what it means in the Canada Life Premier League and JCK Division 2. So Corinthians and Peel and St George's, the top three, all won. Corinthians now on 31 points from 13 games, as are Peel. St George's on 25 points from 10 games. Now, Corinthians and Peel were both looking to outdo each other today in the scoring stakes, and Peel have actually clawed back 2 goals on Corinthians, so they're only 3 behind on goal difference now. I've blathered on enough. It's given Tony a bit of time to get into the studio. Tony, traffic, was that?
It wasn't traffic, actually. I thought I had a bit more time than I thought, because obviously the boys have got office parties and that tonight, so they were shooting off, and want to get the changing rooms tidied up, and because it was a bit of a muddy pitch, it's all sorted. My apologies. And then coming down the final bit, coming down the hill, it was all pretty busy, everyone going into Tesco, so we're job sorted. We're good.
Good. You got your breath.
Got my breath.
Got your breath, okay. Well, you saw a bit of a goal feast today. It's obviously a big day for Corinthians today, which we featured in Saturday Sport Preview at lunchtime and on the news as well, with the opening of the Lewis Thornton stand. And, well, they did him proud, really, didn't they?
Well, he did do him proud, and thanks again for Manx Radio's coverage, because it's nice when a football club sort of progresses any of the 26, but, you know, this is something special, because they had a mission to try and get it done for the anniversary, or not, it's not fair to say anniversary, but a year after his death, but they didn't quite get it done, and they got it all sorted this week. Bit of groundwork to do, but it's really impressive, and I know 1 or 2 clubs have looked at Corinthians stand, and Stadium Solutions are absolute credit. The prices are good, the sort of standard of the stand is absolutely brilliant, and it's just really nice. And people sort of at times criticise Manx football. I think they seriously want to have a little look around the 26 clubs at what the state of their clubhouses and pitches and that. It's an absolute credit. I go away with the Ireland team, and it's nowhere near what the clubs work at over here on the Isle of Man. It takes a lot of work, a lot of volunteers, right the way through the board, and there's one for Corinthians there. Fantastic stand.
So taking a bit more of a look at what happened on the pitch today. Very impressive performance. 9-0, 6-0 at half-time. Sean Doyle, the man of the day, with 4 goals as well. He just keeps scoring. Well,
he's unbelievable, and I think Sean is on a bit of a mission at the moment, because he went away, played in Gotland, and Scotland, and he was really good. And then sort of Paul Jones whittled his squad down, and Sean wasn't in it. He's only young, he's what, 22, 23, but I think it's sort of said to himself, well, I'm going to have a go here, because I think I'm good enough to get in. And today he had 2 goals disallowed. He's a big player, and when you look, I've got the timings here. Danny Gerrard scored within about 2 minutes to make it 1-0, and Sean Doyle got the second a minute later, 2-0 near cruising, but a minute later Sean got his second of the game to make it 3-0, so it was looking really good for Corinthians. Ramsey sorted themselves out defensively, and then Corinthians had to work hard, and it was 27 minutes before they got the 4th by Steve Whitley, and then just before half-time Whitley got his second of the game, and Luke Murray, who's certainly a star for the future, he's a carbon copy build-wise of Sean Doyle. He's got a bit to go before he's got Sean's ability, but it's getting there, and he looks really good, and 6-0 happy days. And then Doyle scored one basically within a couple of minutes of the start of the second half, and then Danny Simpson, great provider today for his teammates, got the 8th, and then Sean Doyle completed the scoring to make it 9-0 in the second half. It was a good performance. Ramsey are very young. but there's one or two experienced players in there. Jamie O'Neill did well in goal. Lewis Coulter at the back, you could hear him encouraging the players all the time. And if they've got to go down, they've got to go down. But I think they can sort of develop those young players, because there's 2 or 3 of the Junior Ireland squad there. And if they can sort of get the best out of them, then hopefully they can bounce back if they do get relegated the way things are going at the moment. Everyone's making it difficult at the bottom of the table.
Let's move on to Peel. Another absolutely stonking result for them. Douglas Royal third from bottom, and they received, well, it's a bit of a shellacking today, really. It was 11-0, 5-0 at half-time. And I think the standout performance here, Meps, from what I've seen online, was Sean Kelly coming on as a sub and scoring a hat-trick in 13 minutes, 65, 72 and 78.
Yeah, I'm a big admirer of Sean Kelly as a footballer. And when he was playing in the sort of 16s, 18s, he was one of the top players. Sweet peg on him, good throw, really good player. But I thought when he signed for Peel, he was a little bit slow in starting to score the goals. But now when you look at his record over the last 5 or 6 games, he's absolutely banging them in. And I think he could be the difference, with Peel possibly standing a chance of winning the league. It was 5-0 at half-time, as you say, 11-0 at the end. But Sean got the 3, Matthew Skillicorn got 2. Tom Wood, who's having a season of his life at the moment, since Steve Fulton's put him at the centre-back role alongside Dominic McCreevy. And I'm watching him at Senior Highland training, and he looks as if he's been there for 5 or 6 years. He's looking so accomplished. He got a couple of goals, which is a rarity for him. Daniel Bell got 1. Mark Kelly. Christian Penwick, well done to him. He's had to be patient to get into the first team, but he was in last week. Got himself back in again this week. And Matthew Woods got 1 as well. So great result for them. They pegged 2 back on Corinthians' goal average. And it's setting this Premiership up really nicely, with St George's, Russian and Old Boys still to play their part as well. So it's great to look at.
It certainly is. And we move on to St George's. Despite what it said on the Isle of Man FA website afterwards, where they put Laxey 4, St George's 1, it was the other way round. It was 1-1 at half-time, so St George's drawing at half-time yet again and then pulling away in the second half, just like they did last week when it was 3-3 at half-time and they won 6-3. Fiora Davies, Kieran McNulty, Frank Jones, Jack McVeigh for Geordies, Joe Walters with the consolation for Laxey.
Yeah, I saw the 1-1, and if you look at St George's, I've said it for the last 2 or 3 seasons now, I think they are at their most dangerous, 45 to 65. They come out the second half, and whatever Bassie and Lee Dixon...
Usually after they've had a bit of a rollicking if they've not been winning, eh?
Yeah, I don't know how many hairdryers they've gone through, but they get it sorted out, and they come out and they're flying, and Geordies are going to have to work hard if they're going to win this league this year. And 2-1 up quite early on in the second half, and then Frank Jones scored to make it 3-1. And Jack McVeigh, who's just come back, and he's a really good player, Jack. 4-1, doesn't matter. That's a great result for them. Laxey are an awkward side. You look at the league table; they're in the top 6, so
yeah.
They're not by no means a side that's struggling in that league. And it keeps it again nice and tight. Geordie's winning. Russians free week today. Douglas High School Old Boys games postponed, and Corinthians and Peel have emphatic victories.
And St John's have taken advantage of Russian United not playing this week to leapfrog them in the table. Granted, they have now played 5 matches more. They're only 3 points further ahead of them, but still, it's good to go into that 4th position into the new year. St John's won 2-1 at home to Douglas Athletic. Connor Dell for Douglas Athletic. I don't have St John's scorers.
Yeah, St John's, and thanks to Howard Kelly for texting through, and we'll come back to that if we can later on about getting scores through. St Anthony Moore, who's coaching in America, he's over at the moment for the Christmas period. Saw him the other day, he's looking well. He got 1, and Jamie Crook got the other one. So good victory for St John's. I think Rick Holden would have thought that would have been a little bit more comfortable than that. But it doesn't matter when you look at, sort of Jamie Crook. He scored a hat-trick recently in the combination, been brought in the first team and scored 1 as well. So it's been a good day for him.
Finally, Colby 3, Braddon 1. Big result for Colby at the bottom of the table.
Absolutely huge, because we touched on it at lunchtime. They had to try and find a 3-pointer from somewhere, and they've done it because they've got all the tough teams coming up now. So that gives them a little bit of confidence going into the remaining games. Douglas Royal, with their good run, it's sort of, they've got good teams to play now. So it's all to battle for bottom and top of the table. We're going to chuck the FA Cup in the first Saturday of January. So it all starts to get a little bit nervous now, because you look at St John's there, they've played 14, that's their 14th game today, so they only play 24, so they've 10, so the games are starting to run out for the teams near the bottom.
They certainly are. And mention of the scorers, Colby, Jordan Primrose-Smith continuing his rich vein of goal-scoring form. Chris McKenna, player manager.
Yep.
With a penalty, and Steve Collister wrapping it up right at the end. Connor Dempsey with a penalty for Braddon there. Moving into Division 2, we've got Ayr United against Union Mills. That was postponed, and we had a text in about this saying Mills' first team game being called off when Mills have already gone all the way down there is a joke. Ayr pitch was fine, as we had a good chance to see as we were all down there. So some rather disgruntled Union Mills players.
Yeah, I can understand that, and it's not the FA's fault.
No, of course.
But obviously I received a call at 12:30. We were doing the presentation for the Lewis Thornton stand then, so I couldn't take it. And the team will have already started travelling, because that's one thing about clubs now. They're usually there 1 hour, 1:15.
Yeah,
now
and when it's a 2 o'clock kickoff.
Exactly. So, Ayr apologised and it just says, Tony, I'm so sorry. Just found out that the first team game is off at Ayr due to the pitch. Thanks very much. Well, it's very difficult, because we were on Corinthians pitch this morning at 9 and it was touch and go, and fair play to Peter, Mark Adams and Jason. Sand on, spiked it, everything else, got it sorted, and with the wind picking up, it got it sorted, didn't really cut up, and it's just things that happen, but I can understand Union Mill's frustration, I really can.
Okay, we've only got 2.5 minutes left, Tony, so we best rattle through these 3 matches. Great game for Castletown today. Alex Crawley, another one that's been among the goals a lot, not just recently, but pretty regularly for Castletown over the years. Hat-trick for him, Richard Foden with the other. It was 4-1 against Moran, and they go top by dint of Pulley not playing. Yeah,
that's a really good result, that one, and with Alex Crawley there playing. And I said at the start of the season when we previewed it with Tim, he's pivotal, and Richard Foden as well. And I watched them, and it was a little bit off colour, but now they're flying, and that's a great result against Moran, 4-1.
Good big win for Onken as well. 5-0 against Jims. James Rice with 2, Nick Harvey, Mark Rees and Chris Asbridge. Tom Callow apparently missed a penalty for Jims after an Onken player had been sent off for handball on the line as well.
Give you a story on that one. Good solid performance from Onken, who had Andy Asbridge sent off late on. Andy Asbridge is actually a goalkeeper who's playing out. And all I got was it, thinking he was in goal, handled on the line to stop a goal. Jim's missed penalty, enough said. So thanks very much for that. And that's from Tony Sewell, the Jim's manager.
Instincts.
Yeah, exactly. You can't take it away from you.
Instincts kicking in. Well, yeah, not ideal, but kind of understandable as well. And finally, in Division 2, Michael United 1, Douglas and District 3. I've got Michael's scorer, Stephen Quayle, with a pen. Not Douglas and Districts, though. Yeah,
I've got, I take it this is a combination score as well. Governors Athletic against Foxdale, or is that Division 2?
Governors Foxdale is Combi 2, and it was Governors 2, Foxdale 3.
Yeah, I just saw that score coming through, Sorry, going back on that last one, just read that again.
Michael 1, Douglas and District 3.
3.
It was,
Do you have any goal scorers?
Stephen Quayle with a pen for Michael, but not for D&D. We don't have those scorers.
Right, I haven't got them either.
So that means that Castletown now have played 15 for 36 points. Pulrose United didn't play today. They're on 13 games for 33 points. And Onken 14 games for 31 points. And also Ramsey Youth Centre, who again didn't play today, 13 games, 25. So it's shaping up quite nicely at the top of Division 2 as well.
It is. It's brilliant, and that's what you want, is sort of close games. But just if I can go back, I know we're running out of time in the Premier League. Just to report, scoreline against the Georges doesn't reflect the game at all. Laxey matched them and were better for a lot of the games. So Georges were more clinical with their finishing. This person's disappointed not to come away with something from the game, but couldn't be prouder of my players for their performance. When the Geordies bench say that the game didn't warrant the 4-1 final score, it shows that we must have done something right. And he has, and I'll give him his name because he deserves the praise, because Laxey were decimated with losing players, and Paul Callow took the job on. And it was one of them. It's a tough job to take, and he's doing a great job. And thanks again, and have a good Christmas, Paul.